be speaking about children with special needs and nutrition, and I'm glad that we have again Dr. Becky Isanda on board. Thank you so much, Daktari, for making time. We truly appreciate having you on the show. Before I even ask you any question, I'll allow you to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Dr. Becky Isanda, and I work at Kenyatta University in the Department of Early Childhood and Special Needs Education. Basically, I teach persons that are interested in working with children with disabilities at teacher training level or at clinical settings. They want, like, for example, somebody can be a nurse, but they now want to work with children with disabilities and also families of children with disabilities. Thank you. Thank you, Zainabu, and you're a good student. Looks like you remember. Yes, I did mention that the assessment report will generate different types of data, and one of the data or nature of data will be nutritional. And if you remember, I think in our previous episodes, we have kept just mentioned, like almost scattering this seed of nutrition, and I'm glad that you have made time so that we can be able to talk about it. When we talk about nutrition, let's just help the viewer that I always say we are talking about, I stand to be corrected, I think we are talking about standard 5 science. We are talking about carbohydrates. I think that, am I correct? Yes. You were in school recently, you should remind me. So we are talking about our carbohydrates, we are talking about our proteins, we are talking about our vegetables, we are talking about our water, we are talking about our fruits and what they give us. We are also talking about them as a variety. And we are also talking about them, what do we do with food, and what is the manifestation of food when it's given in children. And borrowing from our standard 5 knowledge, then we know that a balanced diet is good for all of us. So definitely, it is good for our children with disabilities. And probably, Zainabu, even more important, because our children with disabilities have already gotten, maybe let's call it a deficit. You see, they have a deficit. Let's take an example of a child having rickets. Remember, a child with rickets is a child with physical deformities. This is a child, Zainabu, who has lacked vitamin D. Are you seeing? And as much as vitamin D is found in foods, Zainabu, then our child probably just needs sunlight. So that's what we'll be talking about. That meaning that if parents can start caring for the children intentionally, Zainabu, intentionally. Like I think all of us, especially us who have been mothers, we are usually advised from antenatal care that when you take a child home, then you start attending to them intentionally in a nutritional way. And the first type of nutrition that we'll be talking about is breastfeeding. Or maybe no. Second is breastfeeding. The first one is what the mother takes when she's expectant. I think it's good for viewers to know that it means that anybody or any mommy and daddy too, should be having intentions of having a good nutrition because they intend to have a healthy child. Because Zainabu, we've talked about that lack of nutrients in an expectant mother can cause disabilities. Remember, we've had this lesson. So it means that our nutrition is starting from conception, and then not even conception. Our nutrition is starting from the general well-being of a person. That even as a young girl walks around, even here in campus where I said that I work, it means that she's intentional to be healthy. For example, keeping away from drugs and substances, keeping away from tobacco and related substances, keeping away from, our young girls especially do not eat. They are running between classes, so sometimes you are doing a lot of black teas and all those kind of things. But remember, the body is made up of this kind of nutrients that she needs an orange, she needs a banana, she needs some ugali, she needs some vegetables, she needs some beans, some green grams, some mboga, and even to drink water. But is that what happens to most of us? No. We decide we are on diets, crash diets. We are not eating, and when we do, I need some chips and I need some sausage and I'm good to go, and I take it down with some squash or some juice and all that. But in this lesson, I'm hoping that our viewers can be able to appreciate that making the decision to start family in form of having a new child or a newborn, then it is intentional from as you raise yourself up, that you do need to be healthy. Your mind needs to be healthy. It means that, including nutrition, Zainab will be talking about mental illness. Because if a mother has problems, she's not stable of a sound mind, how is she going to carry a child to term? And even if she does, do you think our child will be healthy? No. Probably our child also is going to have mental illness like the mother.
So, Daktari, back to the report.
Yes.
What does it entail, and what are some of the different diets that are assigned to different types of disabilities?
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, not each and every child needs a special diet. Mm-hmm. For example, if a child is not sick, because depending on what the report generates, then they will need a diet, but a balanced diet. Like we have said, the protein, the carbohydrates, the vegetables. But we do have, for example, children with attention deficit hyperactive disorder or ADHD, or children with autistic spectrum disorders. These are a category of children that specialists have found out that they may need support in diets. Example, children with attention deficit hyperactive disorder, it has been found out from study that when they take diets that are rich in processed foods, like our sausages and our chicken, the one that turns in and out from the outlets, fast food, and our deep fried food, processed food in cans, these canned meats, canned peas, and all those things. Because what happens, our viewers need to know that by the time you receive food in the supermarket, it is also coming from far, and it has been put some preservatives so that it can be able to be maintained for your use. So some of those preservatives are not good for the children. So we have preferred a lot of food that is very attractive. So manufacturers have found out that they can color your food so that it's appealing to our children, including the sweets and the chocolates, and including the cakes and all that. So all this is as a diet that may not be very good for a child with autism spectrum disorder and a child with ADHD. So the assessment then is going to generate a report then that these children need to be off this kind of food. But because it's very difficult to withdraw food from a child immediately, then the assessment is going to suggest that it's done gradually. Like, for example, you could start by reducing the amount of sugar that you're putting in their milk, or buying them, remember now we have flavored milk, we have flavored, almost everything in the shop Zainab is flavored.
Including water.
Yes, so you can start withdrawing that and returning the child to natural products, and it's not easy. you can be able to do that. So this is a type of child. We also have children, Zainabu, we need to withdraw them from dairy products. Yes, meaning that these are children reacting to dairy products, such as milk, interestingly, such as milk, such as heavy proteins like the meat. And please, exactly. So I need to be very careful, please, so that viewers do not leave our side saying that we talked that they don't eat meat and we say that they don't do milk. We are not saying that. We are saying that it is children who react to these products, and the assessment, including a clinical assessment, can be able to establish that. Because these children, apart from whatever happens, the chemical composition that is produced in their bodies, also remember they will have eczema. We have children who are having heavy eczema with them. We have children having internal organ problems because of the products. We have children who different foods affect even sight. We have children whose mechanisms, digestive mechanisms, are affected by food. And all this will be established at assessment centers that include, I keep repeating, that include the clinical settings, because we work hand in hand, Zainabu, with the hospital. Because yes, no. Because our viewer may go to the assessment center and probably get an educational support. But remember, the child may be reacting in different ways. Maybe they always have running nose. Maybe they always are sickly and absent from school. Then it means even they are always complaining when they eat a certain type of food. They are always reacting. Then we always suggest that the mother or the caregiver then goes back to clinical settings and they are able to work together. That is what we are saying. And by now, I think our viewers are appreciating that disability is not handled in singularity. I hope they can be able to get that. Because remember, we've been talking about the family. We've been talking about caregivers. We've talked about the assessment. We have talked about specialists. Now we are talking about nutrition. We keep talking about physicians or doctors in hospital. It means that it needs it's a consortium of all these people to be able to support a child with disabilities. Yeah, and even our local shops, the local mama mboga, the local grocery, the local supermarkets and all that, we are addressing them here. That the food that they present to families to be able to purchase does actually affect families. It will affect the parents. We have already talked about it, but mostly the child. That children are supposed to be able to get a balanced diet. But you know, even Zainabu, as we talk about balanced diet, we do need our viewers to know that nowadays food is coming from very many sources. Very, very many sources. Remember, we still have Mother Nature, the ground where we're supposed to have maybe small gardens or our rural places, because I think in the city there are few gardens. But we still have Mother Nature where God's creation was like, we need to plant, then we grow food. That is one source. And most of this time, then this source is going to produce food that probably is healthier, because I'm imagining that many families may not want to use very heavy fertilizers. They may not want to use very many artificial products or seeds. Then that food may be the best. And when it comes to the market, then we are hoping that mothers can be able to access them. But is that the case?
Most probably not. Hold that thought, Daktari. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa, we could get money to pay our rent, pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough
woman
and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
But you respect people.
Ndani ya Mfahamu Kiongozi, story na historia na mi Elizabeth Muchuku.
Buckle up and hold on tight as you blast off into a universe packed with out-of-this-world adventures. Wow! It's going to be a journey filled with fun and discovery.
Oh, he's adorable.
Search for the weird, wonderful, and all things wacky.
Welcome to the future.
And find the superpowered strength you never knew you had. Heck yeah! So go wild. Tune in and let the
TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. Daktari, before the break, we talked about what is required in different types of disabilities in terms of nutrition. So now, in this day and age, we know parents are not always available. People are busy, people are going to work and all that. So my question is, how do you transfer these skills in terms of training to the caregivers? We have nannies at homes, we have people who, we have relatives who are staying with our kids the whole day and maybe the parents are not there. How do we ensure that if this is the diet that the medical professional or the nutritionist has recommended, how do we ensure that it's given to the kid correctly?
Thank you, Zainabu, for that question. So at the assessment center, it's going to be recommended that a child needs, for example, a balanced diet. I'll give an example. I don't know whether it's me who is conscious, but I also realize that many children with disabilities are malnourished. Do you realize that? They are malnourished, they look like they are frail, they look like they have weak bones, they look like they have weak eyesight, they look like sometimes their hair, it doesn't look strong and healthy, their skin looks, and all that, and even the structure. And I hope, Zainabu, it is because sometimes the parents may keep them indoors because of stigma. We have to keep on going to and fro so that we bring our viewers through and here. So one thing we need to encourage parents is that they need to appreciate their child, and it's through their appreciation that they can be able to support their child. How? If I make a choice that I'm going to raise my child with love, then I probably do not mind what you say. So it means that when I am preparing meals, I am going to make intentional meals that I am going to give my son or my daughter intentional carbohydrates, maybe some ugali or some rice or some potatoes, and I'm going to give some vegetables. Remember, many children don't love vegetables. A portion, or maybe a double portion of the vegetables. I'm going to explain later how they can be made in a simpler way. And also some meat or some green grams or some beans and the like. So it's important that it comes from the family, that maybe our nutrition number one is love. Because if you raise a child in a loving family, probably when you are trying to give them food, then they will eat the food in a loving way. But remember, if the family is harsh or there's a bit of aggression, sometimes children then find themselves like they are being stigmatized or discriminated against. The other one, Zainabu, we need families to be able to share the same amount, the same type of food. Because Zainabu, is really unfair when you go to families and you find a child eating different food from the other children just because they have disabilities. And I'm hoping that I can explain to viewers a simple meal. You give me a minute or two, I show how a simple meal can be eaten by the same family of the child with special needs. The child is benefiting, the children are benefiting, and the dad and mom are benefiting. It can be able to do that.
So you're saying we highly discourage that, creating a specific diet. They might not also like it by the fact that nobody else is eating it.
Yes, thank you for that. And also remember, food, as Africans, Zainabu, we use food for socialization. So how is it that a child has maybe a deformity, and they have this bowl, even the bowl is like almost, you say, that bowl for Brian. Are you seeing? There's a bowl for Brian, there's a sufuria for him, and all those kind of things. So we need to discourage that. So let me give an example of a child with weak bones. I want to give, maybe they have deformities, and maybe, and remember, the deformities are increased by not giving the child vitamin D, going to the sun. Remember, because we saw keeping the children indoors because of discrimination and stigma, but because of maybe shame. Because also shame can make a parent keep a child at home. So probably we have a daughter, and maybe we call her Jenlyn. And Jenlyn has physical deformities, and maybe she cannot walk well, and they're fragile and weak. So this is a child probably we are going to increase. Unlike the others, for the dairy product, we may increase the dairy product. We may increase milk, because milk is very good in calcium. So we are going to increase milk. Isn't milk good for everyone in the family, Zainab? Yes. And we are not talking of adding it sugars and all that. So we may decide that she can, instead of tea and porridge, she can have tea together with the family members. They can have milk, and even another glass at 4. Then we can also increase legumes. We can increase beans in the diet, because the protein can strengthen the bones. So again, aren't beans good for the family? That's what we are trying to say. The beans, so meaning that these beans the milk can be given to all the children. The beans can be given to all the children. What of probably spinach? I can shred the spinach very, very well, and I don't overcook it, and maybe just toss it just a little bit, and put maybe a tomato and something. Again, isn't spinach good for all the children? That is what we are saying. Then I could also recommend that maybe they have oranges. You know, I'm trying to look for the simplest things. We do not want to talk of high diets and where parents say, I can't afford that. We're trying to look what is, remember Mother Nature, what is available in the market. And you're going to cost, sometimes we cost these meals when parents say, I can't afford it. Sure, this enable, I have talked over a glass of milk, which is like less than 250 ml. Maybe 100 ml is a glass or something like that. And sometimes if you look at milk, it's even cheaper than the juices we are buying the children, and cheaper than these flavored yogurts and all that. Then you look at an orange is about 15 shillings. About 15 shillings you can get an orange. Then there is spinach that you may get a bunch of spinach for 10 to 15 shillings. And remember, the child is not eating all that alone. Then you give them some carbohydrates. Remember, we've talked that it has to be a balanced diet. Maybe you can decide to have some potatoes. And we're not talking of chips. We are talking of either you can mash the potatoes, and you can put even like whatever the Agikuyu call like mokimo is good for children. You can be able to have that. You can be able to have the Irish potatoes on their own, and you can add a few things that the child can be able to enjoy. We also encourage giving children water. Water is very important for the development of the bones, because you know this is a child with the bone deformities that we are talking about. And then Zainabu, we are also saying that it's good that children, I'm insisting because many children are having rickets. Let the children be taken out for sunlight, and especially the mid-morning sunlight. The mid-morning sunlight, we are talking between 9, 10, and 11. Noon, no. Noon, the sun's rays are too high, and then again, that will be very dangerous. So we are saying, and sometimes at 3, the monkey sun is very good for the children, but especially for the morning. Zainabu, nutrition includes exercise. We do need the children to go for exercise. What is happening, Zainab, in our homes that mothers, for one reason or another, we've talked about discrimination, we have talked about maybe shame, we have talked about neighbors also not being kind, so the children are kept at home. So our children with disabilities do not socialize with other children. So they don't get an opportunity to run after a ball. They don't get an opportunity to play hide and seek. They don't get an opportunity to run around the neighborhood. what do? Maybe seated in front of a television from morning to evening. How can bones be strong? They are not going to be strong. The bones are not going to be strong. So sometimes, this nutrition that we are talking about is basic things. However, we may have children who have an extra need. Probably, Zainabu, their body cannot be able to take the natural products. So sometimes they will go to clinicals, and I'm insisting on clinical settings, a nutritionist. Then they are going to maybe recommend either special diet that maybe I've not mentioned, maybe an increase of more of something, like a double portion of the calcium, a double portion of protein, or supplements. And this is the last resort. We really do not give children supplements. Most of what the children need, including actually you and I, is found in food. It can be able to be supported in the food. So in this scenario, then they can work with the nutritionist, and the nutritionist can help. We have, here in the university, we also teach it. Zainabu, you asked, how do we transfer the skills? If parents want, they can request for the training. But remember, we also have nutritionists and even the antenatal care. Am I correct? It's also boosting us. They keep talking about health, nutrition. The other form of nutrition, Zainabu, is vaccines. Yes, vaccination. Together with we keep partnering with the health units that our mothers, number one, need to be vaccinated. Zainabu, especially like mothers who come from malaria-prone areas, meningitis-prone areas, where there are waterborne diseases, then we are saying that these are mothers that we need to train in a special way, including basic things like staying in a mosquito net. Using a mosquito net, Zainabu, it really helps our mother. She will not have anemia. And when a mother does not get anemia or malaria attacks, then she's going to have a healthy child. But when a mother is attacked by malaria, then malaria actually causes even hearing loss and even sight problems and all those kind of things. So actually when we're talking about nutrition, Zainabu, we are actually talking of compounding factors, not just food. We're talking about the vaccines, mothers going for vaccines, children going for vaccines from the beginning to the end, including simple vaccines like the oral for polio. Remember, polio is caused by, and remember, it's just the oral drop in the mouth. In mothers, there have been controversies that they may not want to go for the vaccines. Yeah, all this, whooping cough, against things like whooping cough, against things like the fevers and all that. And when mothers get sick or the children, all this is under nutrition. It is a whole range of things that we are talking about for a child to be able to be supported, Zainab.
If I'm getting you, Dr. we need to approach this in a holistic manner. Yeah, maybe because we're running out of time, maybe a parting shot.
Thank you. We need parents to be proactive. We need communities to be proactive, including school communities. Zainabu, if school communities train our little children, not fragmented science and you leave it in standard 5, that you carry it with you that health is power, so that way a child, both boy and girl, they are very conscious that my healthy body is important, is a pillar for procreation, and it is going to bring forth a health seed. So that is one. But in the scenario then that we are having a child with exceptional needs, again, back to science and basics, that science and science of food and understanding of food can actually, Zainabu, even get a child out of disabilities. Yes, Zainabu. And if the child doesn't come out of disabilities, like for deformed bones and the like, then it can maintain them. Because that's our goal in disabilities. Either we get them out, or we reduce, or completely, then for maintenance. So nutrition, must be intentional in our communities for a healthy nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. We truly appreciate you making time for this show and even teaching us a lot about children with disability. I hope you were able to learn a thing or two from Daktari's well-versed, well-endowed knowledge and all that. I've been your host, Zainab Mohammed. Until next time, goodbye.
We value your